Hello and welcome again to Brilliance of the Young Mind Games. In the previous video we saw the lovely game of Bobby Fischer. In this one we will check the game of a former world champion and the greatest player ever, Garry Kasparov. In this game Garry was 13 years old and he played black pieces against the Armenian Grandmaster Laputian. This game was played in 1976 and the game started with d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4 and d6. We have King's Indian defense. White choose the line f3, which is the Zamish line in King's Indian, and Garry replied with knight c6. Instead of knight c6, here black has option to go for castling and play the line with c5 or with e5. It depends of how player like to do. Knight c6 is also interesting, adequate playing for black. Bishop e3 and a6. Idea is to try to make some side attack with rook b8 and b5 later on to play in the center as well. White played queen d2 and rook b8. Rook b1 move of white. White is postponing, actually is not reacting on the king side, not yet developing pieces, not making castle. What caused him troubles later on we will see. So white played rook b1, black castle, and white played the move b4, very aggressive from the opening, trying to gain the space to play with the pawns. But still we see that black finished castling and white is very far from castling. Garry played the move e5, trying to open the center or semi-open e-file. Perhaps he wants to take, and white played the move d5. And here it comes, lovely knight d4, jumps in the center. Is this sacrifice of the pawn or not? I hope that you can spot what was the idea of this temporary sacrifice. In the game, white played knight ge2. Let's take a look what would happen if white captured this knight. Bishop captures, pawn captures, and this is free pawn. Queen captures d4. It's not really free because after this, white would be completely lost after the move of black, which is knight captures e4. White king is in the center, white king is unprotected, white pieces are not developed, so of course some tactics must happen. Knight e4 and white is completely lost. In case that queen captures, then white will just simply lose the queen thanks to pin. Queen moves away, we see this knight not protected, so white will be piece down and completely lost. For that reason, white did not capture this pawn. White played knight ge2, and here we have again good move of black, c5, trying to fix this good knight in the center, this outpost, this bone on the white side of the board. Basically the move c5 is forcing white to open the position to grab this pawn in the center. Otherwise this knight will be extremely strong. So white accept this, so he made en passant, pawn takes and capture this knight in order to take this pawn. Otherwise, if white doesn't take immediately, black will simply push c5 and again have this extraordinary strong knight. So white capture, pawn capture, and bishop takes. So white is pawn up and having still space, but king is not castled yet. Young Garry played rook e8, preparing some kind of break in the center, pinning the king who is standing on e-file, and white now decide to quickly try to castle and enjoy the game with pawn up. Maybe it's again a little bit late for that, because since this moment Garry started playing really brilliant moves. Actually, he made a very lovely combination since this moment. So he started with the move c5, because every move with the tempo is leading to initiative, because black is not letting white finish castling. c5, bishop and pawn both under attack, so white has to capture. And here, more brilliant move, sacrifice of the piece in the center, knight captures e4. Black could also exchange the rooks, but for a certain reason he did not, and you will see after two moves why he did not first take rook b1, why he immediately captured knight e4. Knight e4 sacrifice is also one of the typical idea in some of the lines in King's Indian, to open the queen and give this check on h4 once king is not castled yet. White is forced to take with the pawn because knight cannot capture, rook on b1 is hanging, pawn captures, and queen h4 check. In the game, white interposed g3, white a little bit missed over some things. In this moment, the best response of white was to go bishop f2, and here we can see after bishop f2 why black did not exchange rooks immediately, because if he did immediately, then bishop f2 would be basically winning move of white because black will not have much to do. Now if bishop f2, black has this bishop c3 captures, and since white has to take the queen with bishop, otherwise if queen captures, rook will be hanging. So after bishop takes queen, rook takes rook check, king f2, bishop takes queen, and rook b1, pawn takes pawn, position will be equal. So this was a good for white, but white did not because he missed the moves in the full combination of black. So after this queen h4 check, white interpose with the pawn, g3. So the idea of white with this interposing was after rook b1 check now to move king away to f2, because taking with knight would simply goes for queen e4, and it will be too many of white pieces under attack, this bishop also, and white will be lost. So white moved king to f2 and perhaps was satisfied with this position because black queen is hanging. White wants to just simply take rook back and still have some kind of artificial castling and kind of safe king. But in this moment, the move which probably white blunder and which was the key of this combination, which Garry played, and it's really amazing move. This is the move, rook b2. And everything fall down to the water of white. White cannot do much now. He has to take this queen on h4 because everything is hanging. If queen takes, then simply after bishop d4, white is white doesn't have good move to move king. If he goes to the white, one of the white square, this bishop from c8 can come to give probably checkmate. And if king goes back to e1, then after bishop takes c3 and queen takes, queen e4, very simple capture will lead black to win. So after rook b2, white is basically now forced to take the queen, and here comes rook takes d2, bishop takes g7, black capture with the king, and here black gain material. He has a rook for knight and pawn, but still it's not over. After king e3, white is threatening to remove this rook from d file and try to take this pawn. I have a piece and 2 pawns for rook, and very dangerous to connect the pass pawn. Rook c2 Garry played, and king d3. And again, in this moment, Garry showed very good understanding of strategy of chess and the positional way of playing. So again, a very lovely approach. Rook captures c3. He gave material back because once king capture and pawn takes pawn, we have equal material, but according to the structure, very bad structure of white pawns. White is basically technically lost because too many islands and weak pawns of white. Also, this pawn on e4 is the first target, which probably white cannot defend. In the game, he tried with bishop d3, Garry attacked bishop e7, rook e1, and nice technique of Garry, rook e5, blocking the movement of pawn, threatening move f5 to win the pawn. Also, rook can come to h5 to attack these pawns. White play a4, move f5, the pin. Rook moves, bishop take e4, black won the pawn, rook b6, and f4. This is technically very winning, but just a couple of more moves we can check together how the games ended. Rook takes a6, f3, pass pawn exists to be pushed and to be promoted. This is the biggest dream of every pawn, to become a pass pawn and to become a queen. Bishop f1, bishop f5, rook a7, check, king h6, king d2 and f2. Now the threat is rook e1, bishop e2, white play, and bishop g4 distracting, and bishop moved to d3. After rook e1 and rook f7, simple move, bishop f5 interposing leads black to win. White tried with a5, bishop takes, and rook f2 to be tricky, to make double attack, but it didn't help white much because black played the move rook f1 offer exchange of the rooks, and with this piece up, white decided to resign, and this was how Garry won this game. Lovely game of the young Garry before he became the famous and the world champion. I hope you like this game, and follow up with us in the next video. We will check up one more Brilliance mind nowadays. Thank you for watching.